मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शरणं प्रपद्ये. This is the second time that I am being honored and I am making my presence here at the Hindu Center, and the last year was the first time that I stepped on the land of United States and right here in the Hindu Center, where I began my journey of America from this place. And undoubtedly, this place has got that ambience, has got that energy, has got that spark that whosoever has made his presence over here, whosoever has started his spiritual journey with this place has achieved great heights and also has achieved tremendously in achieving the spiritual sentiment in his own life and practicing spirituality. So it has been almost an year to me, and since I'm here, and this is the second time, and this time I'm also getting this opportunity to share my knowledge and my experiences in the field of astrology, in which I have acquired my education, my PhD in astrology from India. So the reason why I started studying astrology was that I was fortunate enough to get the company of one of the most learned and highly qualified professors who taught me astrology back in India. And by the virtue of those dignified personalities, those dignified astrologers in themselves, I realized that how scientific and how rational this subject actually is. Most of us have these misconceptions about astrology. We just limit astrology to what we read, perhaps the sunshine columns that we read in our newspapers or the shows that we watch over the televisions. For the astrologers who are somewhere selling some kind of a products, or they're commercializing astrology to each and every corner. So, on the contrary to that motion, I learned something new, something different, something which is too extensive, too vast, too elaborative. And I realized this astrology is truly a science. It is nothing less than an engineering in itself. When an astrologer, the one who has learned astrology properly, if he had to cast the horoscope of an individual properly, mathematically, manually, it will take him at least 4 to 5 hours, because it's not that easy task, believe me. And if I start explaining you how we calculate and how we make these horoscopes, I don't think you will be able to survive this discussion. You will leave, you will doze off, I guess. So it's that calculative, it's that mathematical, it's that rational. So, to make a horoscope, we have to calculate the sidereal time. Astrology is all about time. It is all based on the time. The soul, the life of astrology is time itself. Time which is relative within the planets, in between the planets. Even in this planet itself, we have time difference. Like United States, it has got 5 different time zones. Each and every time zones have a relative difference in the setting and rising of sun. Similar phenomenon occurs between one country with the other country. So that's the same thing which happens when we observe a time over the clock at our home on this earth, and the clock which is being observed somewhere in the heaven, perhaps in the living room of these devtas. So we have to observe the time of the living room, the clock being hung on the living room of the devtas in the heaven. Unless we get to know that time, we cannot calculate one's horoscope. And it is not easy to calculate that time. We have to have a lot of calculations to reach to that accuracy to calculate the timing of that particular heaven. So this was something about timing. Now, there are 9 planets, important planets in astrology, which have their own significations, which express themselves in our lives. They signify various energies, various skills, various motions, various emotions, various sentiments in our lives. How we are made by the God, how our personalities are, and why these personalities differ with one another, why we face problems, and why only we are the ones who are facing such problems, or perhaps why we get so much of happiness, or let's say so much of achievements in life, and why there is so much of difference between us and all the other individuals, all the other people of the town, or the state, or the country, or this planet. There is a lot of difference between the people of this earth. So why there is so much of difference? How this difference came into our lives? Why we have so much of miseries? Why we have so much of sorrows? Why we go under so much of pain and turmoils in life? There has to be reason. Science believes in reason. It believes in reason, right? Science says that if there is an electricity, there has to be a potential difference. That's how this current flows from higher potential to the lower potential. The same goes with the astrology. There has to be reason why the destiny has chosen us to be what we are. So these 9 planets, they have innumerable significations. They have vast range of significations which they express in our lives. So in the coming days, I'll be talking about how Saturn is the one which is responsible for making us realize the practicals, the pragmatisms of life, the hardships of life. I'll be talking about Rahu and Ketu, how these are the planets which create the passion, the burning desires in our lives, how they bring the possessions of our past lives, carry them over to the present life that we're having, and express these notions, these obsessions in the present life, and how these passions, how these desires, they make our ways to what we are doing, what we are, where we are progressing in life. I've been talking about Jupiter and Venus, how these planets, both of them, the spiritual planets responsible for the spirituality, how these 2 planets, they differ from one another, how these 2 planets, they express and create a balance between material and between being spiritual. I'll be talking about the moon, how moon is an imaginative, is a planet responsible for creativity, is responsible for beauty, to evade from reality, because that's also a very important part of life. One cannot be practical for most of the time of the day. One has to enjoy music, one has to enjoy good things of life, one has to be aesthetic. So how moon is the planet which gives us that kind of an energy, that that enables us to evade the reality and have the peace of mind. Similarly, we have all the kinds of planets. We have 27 constellations, we have 12 zodiac signs. They have innumerable expressions. So I would try the best I can to frame astrology on the scientific and the rational platform, to present it before you as easy and as scientific as possible, so that you can learn something new about astrology, something which you have never heard before, something which you have never seen before about astrology. And you will learn some very different and very, very unique facts about this subject, this science, in the coming days. So this was just a brief introduction that in the coming days I'll be discussing about. So thank you so much for inviting me here, for giving me your attention, for giving me your time. And I'm really honored to be a part of this Hindu Center and to be here to share my knowledge, share my experiences, to be able to get this opportunity to speak in front of you all. It's a great honor for me. Thank you so much. Jai Shri Ram. Thank you very much.